Good evening. My name is David Nicholls and I'm the President of the Atheist Foundation of Australia, which is hosting this wonderful event. Before we commence proceedings, allow me to say a few words about the death of Christopher Hitchens. It was no secret that Christopher was gambling with time when accepting our invitation to join us this weekend. Very unfortunately, as you know, Hitch lost this wager. Atheists, freethinkers, and the enemies of reason alike will remember the day Christopher Hitchens died as being one where a gigantic intellect ceased mortal existence. Christopher Hitchens died with friends at his side at the MD Anderson Cancer Centre in Houston, Thursday the 15th of December. His death brings to a close a lifetime of lucid verbal and a prolific written war against the forces of darkness that have plagued humanity for all of history. His epic input will one day be the stuff of legend. Christopher was both the most well-known popular and unpopular champion for atheism the world has ever seen. His instant responses using clear and balanced argument brought joy to admirers. The same quickness of reply to convoluted ideas left many an opponent deflated and speechless. The life of Christopher Hitchens was inspirational to free thinkers the world over. The inspiration will continue in his absence. Ideas do not die. We are all deeply saddened by the death of one of our greatest exponents of rational thought. However, we can take some solace in the fact that Christopher's inexpungably powerful presence will share centre stage in our fondest thoughts over the next 3 days. April 13 would have been Hitch's 62nd birthday. Goodbye, Christopher. We will miss you. And now to return to the event. Greetings and welcome to the 2012 Global Atheist Convention, a celebration of reason. It is with great pleasure that I warmly welcome all the overseas and local presenters and performers, the numerous volunteers and the ever-helpful, friendly and efficient Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre staff. The exuberant Kylie Sturgis from the Skeptic Zone has once again graciously agreed to be our MC in partnership with Lawrence Leung, writer and comedian extraordinaire. I would especially like to welcome the President of Atheist Alliance International, Tanya Smith. Tanya was a key coordinator on the previous convention committee. Atheist Alliance International is doing a fantastic and worthwhile job across the globe and is deserving of our support. I'm delighted to extend a sincere thanks to the Victorian Government and the City of Melbourne Council for financially recognising the importance of this occasion. The commercially confidential amount of that sponsorship is not relevant, but what is pertinent is that for the first time in the history of the planet, a secular state government and its capital city has treated a convention of atheists no different to any other similar event. The federal government was not so forthcoming, but we are working on them. The Atheist Foundation of Australia has been operating since 1970 and before that as the Rationalist Society of South Australia. Members at that time considered a name change was needed to reflect a common feeling. That commonality was atheism, and thus was born the Atheist Foundation of Australia. The organisation was presided over by John Campbell for the first 5 years and then by Keith Cornish, with wife Brenda as treasurer and essential ingredient for the next 30. At this time, atheism was in a state of invisibility in the public arena. Keith, ever the optimist, pushed on regardless, writing hundreds of letters to newspapers and making submissions to government inquiries where religion interfered with the polity, and forever attempted to bring atheism into the consciousness of the population. Suddenly, the internet arrived. Keith asked my partner Lee, as she used this strange new medium, the internet, if she could make a website for the AFA. Keith was from the old school and didn't quite understand there is a vast gap of knowledge between sending emails and making a website. Nevertheless, Lee took up the challenge and soon the AFA was online. From that initial stage, the AFA now boasts running a number of first-rate websites. Keith was well into his 80s when the Twin Towers atrocity indelibly changed views about the function of religion on the planet. At first, Islam was under intense investigation, but slowly and surely all faiths attracted the critical eye of a growing band of authors of note, many who are here this weekend. The media abruptly began reporting on matters ungodly, as they would have it, and rather unexpectedly, a new era critically examining religion was ushered in. For the last 5 years of Keith's life, Lee and I took on an ever-increasing role in directing the AFA. Eventually, age caught up with Keith and he resigned. I remember vividly the committee room scene at that time. Does anyone present wish to put forward their name for the position of president? It was pin-dropping quiet. Knowing that the basic structure of the AFA was in remarkably good shape and having an intimate knowledge of its workings, I reluctantly said, yes, I'll have a go, whilst kidding myself with the thought, 12 months tops. Anyway, here we are 8 years later. And where are we at this moment in time? We are celebrating reason, as Bertrand Russell stated. To save the world requires faith and courage. Faith in reason and courage to proclaim what reason shows to be true. No holy book has promoted reason and no religion has ever attempted to do so. In fact, revealed writings depend on the reader suspending reason in preference to believing statements on faith. We should not be against people suspending reason. After all, it is their life. But we must be totally opposed to suspended reason being forced into the minds of children as a way of thinking. Children grow into voting adults. Some become politicians, making laws for everyone. Teaching young people how to think and not what to think is a prerequisite for a good and equitable civilisation. To avoid future divisive sectarian societal dysfunction, faith indoctrination supported by secular governments must cease. Reason has exponentially increased human understanding about medicine, food production, electronics, engineering, transport and population-friendly political systems. It is responsible for bringing us down from the trees and placing people on the moon, where the Earth has for the first time been viewed from a completely new perspective. Reason has allowed us to work out that the universe is very big indeed, with black holes comprised of millions of stars, with some stars billions of kilometres in diameter and trillions of planets orbiting others in a cosmos nearly beyond description. Reason has sent spacecraft from Earth to explore the far reaches of our solar system. It has enabled information about humans and other species to escape purposely into the cosmos in a never-ending journey. Reason has provided the tools to glimpse the smallest particles in huge atom-smashing colliders when brought together at nearly the speed of light. Most profoundly, reason has for a minute part of history shown a few lucky generations how evolution has shaped everything we see about us. Reason has brought humanity out of the dark ages of superstition into the light of authenticated knowledge based in empirical, peer-reviewed evidence. The speakers and entertainers at the 2012 Global Atheist Convention are here to provide various perspectives about the ability of humans to use reason in problem solving, in improving the quality of life, in enhancing happiness, and in being kinder to each other and the planet. And very importantly, they're here to help us focus on having a great time with like-minded people at this record-breaking convention. Many of you were here Friday night at the last Global Atheist Convention in 2010, and most would admit it was an amazing, near-surreal time. We were 1,500 people, with numbers growing to 2,500 on Sunday, and now we are 4,000. One would assume that governments and religious leaders would take note of this small inconvenience of a visibly growing opposition to theocratic interference in this country and the globe. One would assume that this overt display of godlessness would reverberate throughout Australia and send ripples of hope to the rest of the planet, to places where atheism is a repressed notion. The impact we're making here will be noticed, because the sheer size of this occasion, the shared camaraderie of purpose and the joy of harmony of thought is adding to the cumulative goodness and cooperation that humanity is capable of and which it is in so desperate a need. Allow me to take you back momentarily to the Atheist Foundation of Australia and how its modest initial stages have led to this magnificent event. From its inception, with ever-expanding incremental change, the AFA is now comprised of a large and proficient committee of management whose members are from many parts of Australia, a public relations team with wide-ranging expertise, and the informative and vibrant AFA forums overseen by our administrator and moderators. We have magazine editors, internet technicians, web designers, membership stewards, writers, debaters, proofreaders, Facebook managers, graphic artists and assistants from lawyers, accountants, volunteers, friends and helpers and supporters of all kinds. What is very important to us here tonight are the 2012 Global Atheist Convention Committee members whose dedication and commitment would be very hard to emulate. I genuinely thank them all, and I'd like you to give them a hand. The combination of these groups and individuals of 60 or so people that I have just mentioned are the driving force of the AFA. They are its engine. They direct, control and manage the largest, most active and well-known atheist organisation in Australia. It is the amalgamation of their efforts that has produced a public expression of atheism in such an outstanding manner. And behind all of this is the AFA's ever-growing membership. The allegiance of AFA members ultimately is responsible for the success story that is the Atheist Foundation of Australia. This weekend promises to excite deservedly expectant minds with numerous speakers and entertainers delivering a smorgasbord of ideas and concepts that will remain with us for a long time to come. The program is full of marvellous people who are at the forefront of reasoned thinking in too many fields to mention. The AFA knows that we will all savour with delight to the fullest amount possible the next 3 days of the 2012 Global Atheist Convention, a celebration of reason. Thank you and enjoy.